Hello, today I will answer all the most critical question that a lot of buyers have in today's market of 2023. Hello everyone. Welcome everyone to my channel. And this is another episode of Buy Your Dream Home. This show happening every single the end of the month on the last Friday. So, with the purpose of helping the buyers, um, uh, first-time home buyers, especially, to look at the situation and to understand more about the process on how to buy a home, buy their dream home in 2023. And for this episode specifically, because there are a lot of uncertainty in the market right now, specifically we are talking about the interest rate. We are talking about the default level of the US, right? So there's a lot of conversation in nowadays, and I just wanted to use this show as a channel for me to answer all of the critical questions on that topic. All right. So let's go through one by one. One of the questions that a lot of buyers are asking is what is going on? What is going on with the mortgage rate? Okay, so that's very interesting topic. Let me show you the question real quick. So what is going on with the mortgage rate, right? As obviously you see that the mortgage rate, if you are in the market and you follow the market for the last, let's say, 3 or 4 years, right? So from the beginning of COVID-19, you're gonna see that it has been almost double since last time. Remember in 2021 and 2022, right? You have the interest rate beginning of 2022. You have to be the interest rate maybe around 2 or 3. The highest is 4. But since May of 2022, the interest rate has been increased crazily. It is mainly because federal has used interest as a tool to reduce inflation, and that is their only tool to do so. Because the more people spending money, all right, if the interest rate is lower, if the interest rate is low, right, more and more people spending money to buy house, to buy cars, to buy anything with debt, right? So they want, and the more money they spend, the more inflation it goes higher. So to reduce inflation, they have to increase the interest rate in and then indirectly limit the ability for the buyers, for the consumer to buy anything. For example, obviously you see with the higher interest rate, the house that you buy is going to be much different than the lower interest rate, because right now you limit to the monthly amount and potentially impact your qualification. You no longer have a higher qualification anymore. So that is the reason why that is the situation with the mortgage rate. Okay. Now, as of today, though, okay, we can see that even though it has been increased since May of 2022, the second half of last year, right, it has been stabilized, and it is predicted to be continue to stabilize at this level. Okay, if there is any drop in the interest rate, it is going to be very minimal. Okay, it's not going to be a lot of impact. Okay, I'm reading one of the quote from it's very okay. This is one of the quotes from, let's see, let me show you the screen. Okay, from the chief financial analyst at Bankrate. Okay, so basically what he say is, let me share my screen. Sorry about that. So basically what he say, if you can read that, it's kind of difficult to read. Basically what he says is, I think we could be surprised at how much mortgage rate pull back this year, but we're not going to back 3% anytime soon, because inflation is not going back to 2% anytime soon. Okay, so that is from Greg McBride, the chief financial analysis at Bankrate. Okay, so based on that based on that, right, even though we expecting some drop in the interest rate toward the end of the year, it is really unrealistic to expect the rate gonna be about 3%, unless there is some magic could happen to reduce inflation back to 2%, and therefore we might have a chance to reduce the interest rate to back to 3%. So for those of you who buy, or for those of you who are waiting, I know a lot of people are waiting, wanting to wait for the mortgage rate to drop to 3 or 4%. Then they're gonna jump back to the market, right? For those of you who are not qualified because the interest rate is high, I'm not saying anything because unfortunately we are in that situation, right? But for those of you who still be able to qualify but choose to wait for the mortgage rate to be about 3%, perhaps you may have to wait for a very long time. And whether it happens or not, who knows? Because it's in the future, right? It's in the future, so no one knows about that. Okay. The second question is on top of the mortgage rate, people is asking about what's happening with home prices. Okay, and let me show you the question. What's happening with the home prices? Okay. Now, in talking of this topic, I just want to point out too a lot of headlight on the news about how the home price pulling back, and we have a negative appreciation, less than normal appreciation, and things like that. A lot of things, a lot of headline to catch your attention. Okay. But I want to emphasize the difference. Okay, while the home price appreciation has cooled, definitely, because we no longer have such a high demand compared to 2020 and 2021 anymore. Okay, even though the appreciation has cooled, whether home prices go from here will vary based on the supply and the demand of the market. Okay, the appreciation is one thing, but the home price is a different thing. The appreciation could be negative, could be positive, could be small, could be big. Okay, it's when you're looking at the market, you have to strictly depend on the demand and the supply of the market at that time. Think about them 2020. Okay, when you are in 2020, beginning of 2020, when we have COVID, right? A lot of people thinking that the market at that time gonna be destroyed, gonna be crashed, the real estate market specifically, because they say that since no one be able to go out see the house, no one gonna buy. Okay, no one gonna buy. And what happens? What happened? It go down a little bit for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then it goes back up crazily. It's increased crazily toward all the way to the first half of 2022. Why? Because of the demand become much stronger at that time, because the interest rate is very low at that time. So the demand is stronger and stronger at that time. A lot of people, even though they cannot go out, but they can still use online portal, right? They can try to do video filming, right? Virtual tour is very popular at that time. There is a way that to walk around, to work around the bad situation, right? So during that period, home price increasing crazily about 20-22% for the Phoenix market. Okay, so and now like from May to about December of 2022, right? A lot of people are saying that hey, interest rate goes crazily high, the market gonna crash again, right? Now, surprisingly, even though it is not as at the increase at the high level of 2020 during COVID. 2020 during COVID, but it has been backing up. It has been backing up, and in fact, it is right now. Phoenix market is already in the seller's market, except for the cities that in the outskirts area like Buckeye, Maricopa, Casa Grande. Okay, everywhere else in Phoenix area already in the seller's market, right? We already see the multiple offer situation, and if you are searching for a home that is less than 500, you most likely will be in the multiple offer situation, and unfortunately, you have to bump up the price. Now, it doesn't happen everywhere, by the way. If you start the listing at the very high compared to the market of that neighborhood, you're not going to receive any offer for sure. Yes, because the buyer is very smart right now. They have to worry about the interest rate high, right? They don't want to deal with the too high listing price, and therefore they try to get away from those. But for the listing, for the houses that are listed at the very reasonable price, at the good neighborhood, is going very quickly, because if it is less than 500, that is the market for the first time home buyers, and a lot of people are still hunting for those deals. Okay, and as for come back to the original statement about demand and supply, right? Sorry, demand and supply, right? Even though the demand is not as high as 2020 and 2021 for sure, because of interest rate goes higher, the supply is going back to the regular condition, right? So in fact, it's not so much different compared to 2021 and 2022. So for that reason, they still have the strong tendency. For that reason, the home price is not gonna go flat. I'm sorry, it's not gonna go down because of that reason. Because there's still the demand, the supply is still low, and therefore the price is gonna keep going. Perhaps it's gonna go constant. Perhaps it's gonna go up. But it's not crazy. First of all, it's not crazily up. It's maybe like 3 or 4% increase. Okay, but it's definitely not going down at this time, because the supply is still very low compared to the normal for the Arizona markets. Okay, for the key takeaway of this, based on the two questions, right? Before we go into that, is this a good time to buy a house? Is this a good time to buy a house? That is the most common question a lot of buyers, not only first-time home buyer, but also investor that I have been working with. Is this a good time to buy a house? Now, to answer this question, I can say that it depends. I'm sorry, that is just the nature of the answer. It is not a straightforward yes or no, but it has to depend on your financial situation. It has to depend on the family situation. Okay. Now, to be able to answer this, the way that I'm looking at this is it has to be fitting your family financial situation. Okay. As a humans, we do need a house to live in. So to answer your question, this one, try to think about it. If you don't buy a house, where are you going to live? Where are you going to stay? Are you renting right now? Are you happy with the renting condition? Are you staying with a family member right now? Do you feel frustrated to share a common area with your family members? Right? Those questions need to be answered by you, because I cannot read your mind to be able to that. Okay. Now, if your answer is no, I don't want to live in a house sharing a common area with my family member anymore. No, I don't want to be renting anymore. I get frustrated about the landlord. Okay, sure. Then the alternative option is buy a house, right? Buy your own house, right? So the answer for this question, is this a good time to buy, is yes, right? Now, if you feel comfortable with renting, right, and the monthly rental is super low, because I know some of the landlord is very nice about offering a super low rental fee to keep the tenant. So if you paying at the very low rental price, then sure, why not? Because when you compare, right, you either making the rental payment or making the mortgage payment, right? Now, if the rental payment is less than the mortgage payment, why not staying in the same house if you feel comfortable with that, right? If the rental price is higher, is it worth it to wait? Is it worth it to wait because you worry about the interest rate is too high? But in fact, your rental payment is even higher than the mortgage payment. So why is that matter for the interest rate? The good thing about the interest rate is it doesn't increase. It's going to be the same for the next 30 years. versus rent. If you already make the monthly rent higher than the mortgage payment right now, eventually it's going to continue going up. The rental payment is always going up, depending on the decision of the landlord. The mortgage payment never change for the next 30 years, right? Unless you do refinance and unless you make a full payment, you extra additional, that is a different story, but it doesn't change in a normal condition, right? So when the reason why I'm saying is it's difficult for me to answer this question is because a lot of people have a different situation, financial situation. And if you want to discuss more about your specific situation, I'm more than happy to talk to your case. Looking at your situation, probably I have to ask a couple similar questions that I already talked to you in this show, and then hear your answer and then give you the recommended way. Okay, so those are all the 3 questions that I want to discuss about. To close on this, okay, there is one key takeaway. Okay, if you are thinking about pausing your home search because of the mortgage rate, you may want to consider it, because the mortgage rate will not, as the first question I answered, right? You're not going to decrease back to the 3 or 4%. We already passed that stage. Okay, we may consider that again. This could actually be an opportunity to buy the house you've been searching for. The rise in the mortgage rates actually is leading some of the potential home buyers to pull back, right? Because they no longer qualify, or it's just similar to you, they are afraid of the high interest rate and waiting for it to be going lower, right? So they pull back from the markets. And then therefore, you have less competition. I agree that we already have competition now, multiple offer situation, but it is much less than 2020 and 2021, the amount of buyers, okay? So if you stay the course, you're likely to face less competition among other buyers, okay? So that could be a good reason for you to buy as well, because even though right now, you, like I said, already have multiple offer situation, but it's still much less than 2020 and 2021 when the mortgage interest rate goes lower. Think about it, okay? Let's pretend the mortgage rate is going to go back to 3 or 4%. Are you going to be happy? Are you going to be for sure that you are going to win one house when you have to deal with 30 or 40 other buyers on the market at the same time, putting an offer to that house? There's no certain, right? During that time, during 2021, there's some houses that has to bid like $50,000, $60,000, or even $100,000 more than asking. Are you willing to do so? Okay, are you willing to do so? That is the question for you. So, right, that is the fact about the market, the real estate market right now. Okay, so I hope that those information help answer some of the questions you might have, and I'm looking forward to answer any other questions you may have. Feel free to just send me a text, a DM, and I will get back to you quickly. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.